You've mentioned harm reduction a couple times, both by name as well as just describing some of the different ways that harm reduction strategies have been found helpful. And so, what role has harm reduction played in being able to offer services that are more accessible and culturally responsive and trauma informed?
I mean, a significant role, especially when, like, comparatively, it's West Virginia has a lot of strengths. It's, my home state, love it. I hear that we are the state with the most state pride. So maybe we win that, maybe we don't. But one thing it's not great at is trauma informed services, culturally responsive services, right? That's where we're working on that. So when you think about our program in this, small region of West Virginia providing any sort of harm reduction services, and you compare it to an alternate shelter in the same region that urine tests at the door and then kicks people out if they fail or doesn't even let them in, like, just having people come in if they've been treated that way in the past by a sheltering service and coming in and experiencing our sheltering service and the vast difference. So if anything, I think how harm reduction has played a role in helping to make more trauma informed services is that it's giving people a sense of worth and dignity when seeking services that maybe they didn't have before. And in that same way, it's culturally responsive to the needs of each individual culture and how they might observe substance use and or not, and how they might observe trauma or not. So I think if anything, it's sort of a vastly different approach to service providing than a lot of the rest of the states and even a lot of the surrounding shelters in other states. So it's really putting kind of your money where your mouth is in trauma informed services. Everyone can say they're trauma informed and then screen out. So I think it's developing sort of a safe space for survivors to access, even if they may not have felt comfortable accessing services before anywhere else.
Mhm. And so, if there is a program listening to your interview and they are currently using drug testing, they're currently using breathalyzers, how can and let's say they want to try something else, right? Like they're interested in seeing what else they could do instead of using that drug testing and breathalyzers. How can they get started in doing something different? What does that look like?
Oh man, immediately stop. No, I think approaching the issue from a different direction. So instead of screening out, you're going to screen in for needs. So whatever population you're serving, if you operate a shelter, that population is adversely affected by substance use disorder. They are more likely to experience it than almost any other population. Homeless population, victims of trauma, like ongoing childhood trauma, adult trauma, like all more likely, right? We've all talked about ACEs. We get that. So I think number one, understanding that this work is your work is the first step. And then how do you want to adequately serve survivors without missing this gigantic population of people that need assistance? So you could start with the harm reduction approach. That could be beneficial. Having open and honest conversations with your staff surrounding one of the first things I say when we do a new staff training, we have the whole first 4 hours is on client focused trauma informed services. We go through a whole spectrum of substance use training. And one of the things I say to my brand new hires is, if you don't believe in this approach, you will not like working here. Because it's not going away, right? So I think just forming the culture around your approach will change, because if you have staff and you're all of a sudden like, we're not going to drug test anymore, so you just have to let them in, that's not going to work. You have to give them the tools that they need to do the job adequately, right? So really instilling the harm reduction mentality, even more than just the approach, would be a good first step to like moving forward, talking about openly about it, destigmatizing some of it, because some of the things that are out there around substance, first off, there's a difference between someone using substances and having substance use disorder. So like just those sorts of conversations that like you don't think about society doesn't talk about it that way, right? So I would say a good first step is really diving deep into the research and educating staff to work on taking away some of those preconceived notions and biases that they might have.